honor,
loyalty,
respect,
Kismet.
Hello everyone, thank you again for joining me for another Kismet's Guide, and this time it's going to be for Fallout Shelter, a game that I've fallen in love with, a really fun game. I'm going to talk a bit about the basics, throw in some tips along the way, and at the end talk a bit about the more advanced play. Well, I hope you enjoy, and let's get started. Now we're going to dive right in here. I'm going to go ahead and create Vault 101, and then we're going to go ahead and create the vault. And once we're inside the vault here, we're going to talk about some basics. As you can see, I'm just getting started here. I'm throwing some people into my power plant, I'm speeding it up, then I'm putting in some other rooms and assigning people to these different rooms. Now when you're assigning people to different rooms, you want to look at their major stat. In this case, is perception. And then you want to assign them to the correct room. For Lori here, I'm going to go ahead and assign her to the water room. And the same thing here with this lady with agility, I'll go ahead and assign her to the diner. Out of your dwellers, 3 of them are going to have each stat at 5. So one's going to have strength at 5, agility at 5, and perception at 5. Now you're going to start with some other people as well, and their stats are going to be a little bit harder to tell where to put them. To really understand where to put people, you're going to have to understand what special means. Special stands for strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck. And what you do is you roll over each room to see where they're going to fit best. Like you see here where it says S+1, it's going to put this person in that room, take someone out of that room, and add 1 strength to this room, increasing its production. Now when you don't see a plus or minus, that means it's just going to put that person in that room and there's enough room for them to go in there without them replacing someone else. The biggest benefit I'm going to get here is either the perception room or the agility room. So I'll go ahead and just drop them in the agility room for now. Then I'll quickly place the others. Now let's quickly go over the interface. In the upper left hand corner you'll see a 14 and I currently have a +2. Those are your dwellers. And if you tap on it you'll see this list. Next to that you'll see your happiness rating, which is currently 83%. If you tap on it, it will bring up your happiness bonus. The next one you tap on will give you your resource amounts. Then if you tap where your caps are in the upper right here, it'll open up the shop and the collection area. In the upper right hand corner there's a little hammer that brings up your build window for making your different rooms. Now in the lower right hand corner is our Pip-Boy. We're going to go ahead and tap on it here and look at the different parts. At the very top here is the shop and the collection for unlocking lunchboxes. And also there's your objectives and your daily report. Then there is our storage area. Notice weapons and outfits at the top. Also shows how many stem packs and rataways you have and your total storage space. So we have our survival guide. And this is also where the help is located. And of course here at the bottom is your settings and allows you to return to the main menu. And in the upper right hand corner there's an arrow for upgrading your rooms. There's also a few other places to tap and to drag people that will help you out when you're working with your dwellers. If you tap outside your vault just by your entrance, it'll bring up a list of all your explorers you've sent to the wasteland. You can also double tap a room to zoom in or double tap to zoom back out again. If you accidentally grab hold of someone and you want to deselect them, just drag them off to the sides. Or if you've selected a building or a person and want to deselect them, just tap off to the sides as well. It also works if you're sending someone to the wasteland and you decide not to, you can go ahead and just tap out the window and it will close. Now this brings me to my first tip, and that's 323 or 332. Now what does that mean? When you're placing your buildings, they're going to be either one building, 2 buildings grouped together, or 3 buildings built together, which is the most efficient. And that's where this term comes from. You can see here I've got 3, 3, 2. And in this example, I have 3, 2, 3. So when I'm saying 323 or 332, I'm talking about how the buildings are grouped across the row. The earlier you think about how you're going to place your buildings, the better off you're going to be in the long run. I'm going to show you 2 examples of how to make a 323 or 332 right at the very beginning to be styling the rest of the game. Here I've placed my power plant, my restaurant, and my water area, and I'm going to rearrange it right at the very beginning to get a great start. Now the first thing I'm going to do is pull people out of my power plant here. Then I'm going to go ahead and destroy my power plant. Then I'm going to try to destroy my living quarters, but you're going to notice what it says, that the vault would be overpopulated. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and create an elevator down below here, and create another living quarters down here to replace the one on the top. Then it will allow me to destroy the one on the top. Once I get rid of that, I can then rebuild my power generator, and I'm off to an awesome start. I can now build out 3 to the left of the elevator, 3 to the right of the elevator, and then add an elevator after that, and then 2 to the right of that. So that will be 3, 3, 2. Now to do 3, 2, 3, you're going to need a few achievements at the beginning, but I'm going to show you very quickly on how to rearrange the buildings and get it going. We're going to start very much the same way by destroying the power plant. Then we're going to build a second living quarters. And to the side of the living quarters, we're going to build an elevator. And we're going to be a little bit short here, but if you noticed, I've already done an achievement. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that achievement, get just enough to make another power plant and put it off to the right here. And there we have it, right at the very beginning, 3, 2, 3, all the way across, which is going to give you an awesome head start. Now once you've got the basics going there, you're going to need to move on to managing your resources. Now these are very important. As you can see here, some of my resources are red, which means it's going to have different effect on your dwellers. If you don't have enough electricity, you can't power your buildings. If you don't have enough food, your dwellers start to take damage. And if you don't have enough water, which I feel is the most important one, you start to take radiation damage and it reduces their overall health. Now you can take a risk and just hit rush and try to rush your resources, which sometimes does work out for you, but it can also backfire. But if you fail, you may end up with even less resources. Now we're going to work on this vault and recover from being in a deficit of supplies. The first thing we're going to do is tap at the top to see our numbers. Then tap on the resource and look at what the number is. As you can see, our food went up to 74. Then what we'll do is we'll wait for a full cycle and see if the number is going up or down from that number. Now one of the things I want to point out to you is if you notice here at the diner, it has no seconds because it doesn't have enough power, because we're underpowered. It is also the room that is furthest away from the power plant, so it is going to be the first one that shuts down when there's no power. A dead giveaway is the people walking around and not sitting still. So we'll wait for our power to come up again, and once we get our power restored, we'll go ahead and check that cycle again. We're also going to check the water and see where the water's at, and watch both cycles as we go, including our power, and see if those numbers are going up each cycle or going down each cycle. To make it easy, I'm going to go ahead and put a snapshot of the previous cycle. Let's jump forward a few minutes, and as you can see, when I get my power, it actually is at 133 instead of 101 this cycle. Then I jumped ahead again, getting both the food and the water, and you can see we're gaining each cycle. If we continue to tap the resources right when they're available, they'll continue to go up and up each cycle. Now, if they're going down each cycle, you need to make some major adjustments. Pull some people from some other rooms, build some more rooms, whatever you need to do to keep those resources solid. It's important to note that you're going to need more power rooms than any other room. So build those first when you're expanding. And before you know it, you'll have all your resources at max and you can focus on some other things like exploring and getting those achievements done. Now that we've got the basics out of the way and you're properly managing your vault, let's go ahead and do some rapid fire tips and more advanced gameplay. If you suddenly get a knocking on your door, it's probably some raiders. And a great tip that I have is to name your guards with an A in front of their name. Now all you need to do is tap on the assigned clipboard down here, and if you notice the A in front of their names here. Now they can be pulled from wherever they are in your vault, and they'll come up to the guard room and protect your vault from any invaders. They're also off doing something, generating stuff for you, and not just sitting in the guard room. Now another tip is put your highest level people with your best gear in the first room. And what's going to happen is pretty much this. When they run into that first room, 6 of your people are going to annihilate them. Enjoy! Now another thing you're going to need to do is deal with danger. We've got a danger situation here. It's spreading all over your vault. What do you do to prevent it? The first thing you start to do is pull all your people who are close by into those rooms. Also anticipate where it's going to move next. If it's moving up your vault, put a couple people above where they're at, just in case they go up there. And then you'll be able to gain control over the situation. Now this also brings up the point of killing off people that you don't want. You can drag them into the danger and pull all your other people out and let them die, or you can send them out to the wastelands to die. Then click remove and you've got more room in your vault for those people who've been standing outside waiting. So when there is danger, you want to grab people from the closest room, put them in that room to deal with the danger. And the cool thing is, they'll go right back to where they were before after the danger's over. For that one feature alone, that's a high five to Bethesda. When it comes to exploring, I find that you use more stem packs than you do rataways. So I roughly send them with about half of the rataways. So I'll do 10 and 5, 15 and 10, and 25 and 15. You usually have a ton left over when they come back. I also find it's helpful very early in the game to send them out until they die, revive them, and send them back. The same thing in the higher levels. you usually get more caps than it costs to revive them. If nothing else, they're going to come back with a bunch of gear that you can use. When they return to your vault, you can also tap on your items to sell them right there in the window. Watch out that that doesn't say 100 or you're going to lose something nice before you hit collect. Just tap it again if you change your mind. Also, while you guys are out exploring, there's no way to tell them to use their stem packs and rataways. They will use them automatically. Now let's talk outfits. I prefer the ones that have +3 in that certain stat, like +3 agility or +3 perception, or my favorite, the military fatigues, +3 strength. You'll want to stock up on those and get rid of the lower level split stat gear. Keep the sturdy gear though, because those are great for exploring. Now while we're at it, let's talk guns. And each time you get a batch of guns, keep swapping out your lower level guns for your higher level guns. What I do is set a minimum save level. Anything that's 4 and above, I save, and anything else, I sell. And then I'll move it up to 5, 6, and then 7, and then anything below 7, I will sell, and anything above 7, I will keep. Now that you're getting so good at the game, let's talk about vault maximums. First, you can have a maximum of 200 people. When it comes to exploring, you can send them with a maximum of 25 stem packs and 25 rataways. You can also play all 3 vaults at once, and they all are running at the same time, so you can switch between them. When it comes to rooms, there is a total of 25 rows that you can have. And in each room, you can have up to 6 people. Now let's get to the more advanced stuff. Let's talk about working with large vaults. Now this zoomed out mode, which I call 8-bit mode, is essential for managing large vaults. If you're playing on your phone, it's definitely going to be a lot harder. I'm currently playing on the iPad Air 2, which makes it a lot easier to manage these large vaults. Now another advanced tip is to group your resources. As you can see, I have them all in the same area where I can very easily collect them all from one screen. When you get to larger vaults, you definitely want to be moving your stuff around and start grouping them to make it easier on you. Now I want to touch on upgrading your rooms. If you notice here that you're going to get 50 and 300 from the hydroponics, the super reactor is 59 and 1200, the purification plant is 50 and 300. Now the only one that's a major upgrade from the previous one is the power plant. The other ones are only a slight upgrade, and they cost a lot more, to the tune of 18,000 caps for the last upgrade. The Nuka-Cola is even more at 45,000 caps. So the tip is, create your new room, move all your people in there, and wait a few cycles to see if they're producing enough. So far you've learned the basics, you learned some great tips and some advanced tips as well. Great job making it this far, and now I'm going to finish up and reward you with Kismet's top 3 tips for Fallout Shelter. So number 3 among my top 3 tips would be watch out for your achievements. If you have an achievement that says collect so many guns and so many outfits, and you sell them when your person is coming back from the wasteland, you actually don't get the achievement. So make sure to collect it first, get the achievement, and then sell it out of your inventory. Now number 2 in my list would be how to keep people happy. What I do is I use the dwellers list, click the happiness sorter at the top, scroll to the bottom and pick the man and the woman with the lowest happiness rating and couple them. And watch the vault's happiness soar from 71 all the way up to 83. And my number 1 tip, night mode. When you're not going to be playing for say around 8 hours, what I do is I put my guys in night mode. For instance, I take my person with the highest strength and put them into training and swap them out with someone with lower strength. This allows them to work for 8 hours all night long, and when they're done in the morning, they're going to have super stats. And then in the morning, I'll swap them back while I actively play to keep those resources high. Thanks for joining me for another Kismet's Guide. I'll be live on Twitch streaming Vault 45 and answering your questions. You can go ahead and check me out at twitch.tv/Kismet_Ring of Destiny. Also, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and share this video with other people that love Fallout Shelter as much as you. See you all next time.